Okay, as you can see here, we have the bare chassis, and here are all the parts that we took off. Fairly easy to take off. It took me about maybe 8 to 9 minutes. And these are all your screws. Pretty much they're almost all the same exact size. So, I mean, there's not really anything to remember with this as far as what screws go where. But overall, very easy process. Here you have your motor for your servo, and here you have the motor for the truck itself. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this, but to me, in my eyes, this motor looks bigger than the one that uses to actually drive the truck. So once we get everything all set up, I'm going to try to actually swap this motor and put it in there and see if we can get that working. And then here's that terrible steering. Oh, this stuff sucks. Literally, that's all that controls is that little plastic ball in there. Look how sloppy that is. Wow. Alright, so I went ahead and took away that steering block, and this is the motor that uses for the servo. It's actually the same size as what's in there, so it's not going to do anything much better. There's no numbers or anything on the outside to know if this has more torque or anything. Alright, so getting to the body of this Raptor is going to be much more difficult than I thought. I thought it was going to be a bunch of screws along the bottom, but as you can see here, that's actually not a screw, that is a rivet. So I have to Dremel the head and then stick something in here like a flathead and then pop it open. So I have this side done, and you know, it doesn't look the best, but at least it's on the underside. And what's going to make it tricky is right there. So here's my ideas for this. Either I'm going to have to Dremel right here and take the wheel off, or Dremel a straight line through this fake axle and then pop off the wheels and then get to that. So that's going to be interesting. Alright, so again, these look terrible, but I'm going to go back through and clean them up once I'm finished with it. I'm just going to get some melted plastic and fill in those holes. Got the front axle out. Like I said, I had to Dremel all the way down and then just pop off the axle so I can get to these button screws right here. Or these rivets, and then we're gonna have to get those rivets out, so that's gonna look a little nasty in the wheel well as well. Alright, so it has taken me about 20 to 30 minutes of slowly dremeling away, and I do have a line for the rail. That red line is the center of the hub. So now my only concern is how deep am I gonna have to go. So I've only been cutting just to get the rail in, and what I'll do is I'll mock up the suspension because the holes have changed, so I'll have to drill new ones and pretty much just kind of see where I need to be. I'm pretty sure even when I put the new suspension on, it's gonna be way too high, so I'm gonna have to drop it down even lower, I'm sure. Alright, and here we are probably about maybe an hour to an hour and a half of just slowly dremeling away the plastic. And as you can see, it's loose right now, but once we have everything in there, the frame will sit lower. I got it to go through the center and the back, and as you can see, it lined up pretty good in the back and in the front, so I'm pretty excited about that. Next thing to do is really just start figuring out where the suspension components are going to go. Obviously I have to move the gearbox. These two holes right here were for the original gearbox. Now I have to move them up here. So I mean, but I have plenty of opening here, so I'll just have to drill some new holes for that, and it'll work. Alright, so I've been messing around with it for like another 30 minutes or so, and I finally got the bar to sit inside, and it sits pretty flush. So as you can see, now I haven't worked on the back at all just yet. On the front you can see about midway, you can't see the bar at all. Now the next thing I gotta figure out is what to do with that little opening. I might just close it up. But it's looking pretty good up front. Looks like I'm gonna have the wheel clearance up here in the bay, and also it looks like it has a lift, so it's gonna look pretty good. The turning is good as well. It doesn't rub against anything, so I'm happy with that so far. So we're making progress, slowly but surely. And update, I had to open up this hole right here. I wanted to keep it, but I forgot that I have to pass the steering servo through somewhere, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to put that in here. Now this was the hardest part so far, was getting the tracks lined up and getting the transmission. I'm not even going to explain what I did with the drive line. Pretty much as short as I can put it, I had a second transmission like this, broke it down totally and took parts off to get this drive line. But it works. Alright, so I did some experimenting, and I actually tried one of these that I had laying around, and it wasn't strong enough. I even made a servo mount and everything for it, so I had to go a different way with that. But I have the motor hooked up. I have actually a 10 scale servo, so it's got more than enough power to turn these tracks, plus the weight of the truck, because this is it's like stamped steel, or I don't know, but it's not aluminum, so it's definitely got some weight. And then here we have our ESC. All this is just for testing, just to make sure everything was connected correctly. I'm gonna have to go back and solder these and then heat shrink them and make everything nice. Now the next thing I got to figure out is where to run the battery to. Well, after many hours, I did not think it was gonna take me this long, but she's back together, and I think she's looking really good. Go ahead and start her up. Oh wait, that's the alarm. Now there's a couple things I still need to go do. So for instance, it had this for the buttons, but I thought this was a little excessive, so I went ahead and took this off. I'm gonna cover this up, and then I'm gonna add some accessories in the back, like I have a bike, and I'm gonna use like a cloth to cover all that. Also, the battery will be going back here. I have so many of these, I'd like to use as many as I can, and it'll fit good back here. So it did fit all the way up here, but I don't know, I'm fine with it being back here, and I just cover it up. I managed to get the body back on, and actually on the bottom here I was able to use the original where the rivets were. I was able to clean those out, except for this one for some reason didn't want to catch, but that's okay. I was able to put these in there. As you can see, it looks pretty straight in here. It sits pretty flush when I put the truck up. All you can see sticking out is this, but this doesn't stick out lower than what the axles are, so I'm not really concerned with this hitting anything. And I had to use a modified drive shaft. This isn't the original that came with it. This is one that extends in and out here. And like I said earlier, I had to use, so this rod right here basically is the same rod that's inside the transmission. I went ahead and just took all the internal components out and just kept the rod, and that was the perfect length for that rear, and it just gives it a really nice look too. Plus, I mean, it's metal, so I'm pretty sure this will hold up more than the yokes will. This one, I will say, was a labor of love. I had this truck sitting for so long. I bought this truck at Walmart maybe over a year ago possibly, and it's just been sitting here, and I finally got the WPL trucks, and then when I finally got the truck with the tracks, I was like, yes, I have to go ahead and do it. So I absolutely love the way it came out. I mean, it looks stock, except now it's, you know, it's got the hobby grade. The next thing I'm going to do with it is I'm going to see how long the motor lasts with this, because it does have some extra weight because of the body. And whenever that motor burns out, I'll probably look into either the 2-speed, or I'll look into the one that has the bigger motor in it. But for right now, it's fine the way it is. I have full functional steering with a 10th scale servo, and original motor, original battery. So, and then I have an upgraded transmitter for it. And then before I clean all this up, I've already cleaned up all the wiring in there. The last thing is going to have to, I was just seeing how long this was going to be for the battery. We have the ESC back here, and we have the receiver. So, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. This was the board that came with the truck. So it controls basically like the light function on the front. That's stepping on the gas, and that's turning it on. Well, anyways, so guys, that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I always try to get back to you guys. If not, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching Flash Hobbies.